My wife, Liu Xiao Xiao, hated me for her entire life. When she was 18, she fell into the water, and I was the one who pulled her out. Because we had touched while I saved her, her beloved Crown Prince Qin abandoned her, and she had no choice but to marry me. She always saw me as nothing more than a poor scholar who had embarrassed her in front of all the noble ladies in the capital. While she was alive, she refused to let me touch her, and after she died, she even refused to be buried beside me. I devoted my entire life to her, only to become a complete joke in the end. But then, I was reborn. I opened my eyes and found myself back on the day Liu Xiao Xiao fell into the lake. This time, I decided I would let the man she loved save her instead. But the crown prince she had loved her entire life just stood there and watched as she struggled in the water. In the end, it was Xu Gongzi, an ugly and notorious playboy, who dragged her onto the shore. Something's wrong. Miss Liu fell into the water. A terrified maid's scream snapped me out of my thoughts. I stared at the lake in front of me, my heart racing. I had really come back. I had returned to the day Liu Xiao Xiao fell into the water. Jao Wenuan, you're from Yunmeng. You're the best swimmer here. Hurry up and save her. If we wait any longer, Miss Liu might not make it. The young masters and noble ladies who had come to the Marquise's estate for the poetry gathering all began urging me to jump in. In my previous life, I had been desperate to save her. The moment I saw Liu Xiao Xiao, bright and beautiful under the sunlight, I fell for her at first sight. Even though I knew saving her would bring trouble, even though it could ruin my future as an official, I jumped into that freezing lake without hesitation. I thought I had saved her life. But to her, that kindness became the chain that locked away her happiness. This time, I would let things return to the path they were always meant to take. You're all worrying too much, I said calmly. With Crown Prince Qin here, there's no way he'll let Miss Liu come to harm. Everyone in the capital knew that Liu Xiao Xiao and Crown Prince Qin were the perfect couple. They were only one step away from making their relationship official. Jao Wenuan, you're right, someone said. But I heard His Highness doesn't know how to swim. If we delay any longer, Miss Liu could lose her life. Exactly. Saving a life is a great act of virtue. This isn't the time to worry about anything else. You're an honorable man, Jao Wenuan. You wouldn't take advantage of Miss Liu while saving her. Crown Prince Qin won't misunderstand. Jao Wenuan, we're counting on you. Crown Prince Qin's words made my heart sink. Didn't he love Liu Xiao Xiao? Why wasn't he willing to jump in himself? I remembered clearly that in my previous life, when his own wife accidentally fell into the water while releasing lanterns, he jumped in without a second thought and carried her to safety. I'm sorry, I said, lifting my injured arm slightly. I hurt my arm yesterday. I truly don't have the strength to save anyone. I wasn't lying. My arm really was injured. In my previous life, after saving Liu Xiao Xiao, the wound became infected. It left behind a permanent condition. Whenever it rained, my arm would ache and itch so badly that I could barely sleep. But in Liu Xiao Xiao's eyes, every sacrifice I made for her was simply what I deserved. Crown Prince Qin frowned, but he didn't pressure me anymore. Instead, he gave Xu Gongzi, who was standing nearby, a meaningful look. Xu Gongzi wore a disgusting little smile as he jumped into the lake while the crowd whispered among themselves. Brother Qin! Liu Xiao Xiao tried to call out to him, but the lake water rushed into her mouth and cut her voice off. All that rose to the surface were a few helpless bubbles. Crown Prince Qin avoided her desperate gaze and slowly shook his head. At first, Liu Xiao Xiao still struggled against Xu Gongzi's rescue, but little by little, her strength disappeared. She could only let his arms wrap around her slender waist. Warm tears fell from her eyes and vanished instantly into the cold water. Those eyes that had once made me lose myself in love were now filled with fear. She looked like a helpless deer about to be slaughtered. She kept looking toward Crown Prince Qin, but I could see it clearly. Her trembling lips were silently begging me to save her. In my previous life, I had spent every day hoping her eyes would stop on me, even for just a moment. But now, as I watched her struggle in that lake, a bitter smile formed on my lips, so I could become her second choice too. But my heart had already turned cold. In this life, I didn't want anything to do with her anymore. The miracle Liu Xiao Xiao had been waiting for never came. In the end, Xu Gongzi carried her out of the lake. Everyone hurried over to check on her. They spoke words of concern, but more than a few people were clearly waiting to watch the proud general's daughter fall from grace. Liu Xiao Xiao's face was pale, and she remained unconscious. Maybe she truly had no idea how she would face what had just happened. I didn't stay any longer. I left the Marquis's estate with my servant, Xiao Si. Liu Xiao Xiao, from this day on, you can walk your path toward the Xiang River, and I'll walk mine toward the Qin Mountains. For the rest of this life, we will never walk the same road again. 7 days later, I moved into the residence the Emperor had personally awarded me as the top scholar. If nothing unexpected happened, I would eventually enter the Grand Secretariat and become one of the Emperor's closest ministers. In my previous life, Liu Xiao Xiao and I had already arranged our marriage by this point. Because the Emperor disliked the general's estate, he only gave me a low position in a distant county. Even though I worked for the people and achieved many things, I was never truly valued or promoted. My talent had nowhere to go. I spent countless nights awake, unable to sleep. Even then, I never regretted marrying Liu Xiao Xiao, but no matter how completely I offered her my heart, I could never compare to her beloved Crown Prince Qin. Without love tying me down in this life, I would dedicate everything I had to my country and its people. One day, after court had ended, a carriage stopped outside my residence. Soon, a young lady and her maid stepped down from it. Even though the lady wore a veil, I recognized her from her figure immediately. It was Liu Xiao Xiao. "Lord Zhao," she said, "I came today because I have something to ask of you. Could we speak somewhere privately?" "There's no need," I replied. "If you have something to say, Miss Liu, you can say it here." I had no intention of becoming involved with her again. Naturally, I needed to avoid any situation that could cause another misunderstanding. "Lord Zhao, I know you like me," she said. "Are you willing to marry me?" The word "like" made my hand tighten inside my sleeve. So Liu Xiao Xiao had always known I loved her. In my previous life, she hated me and resented me because she knew I loved her. She simply took my feelings for granted. "Miss Liu, be careful with your words," I said. "You and Crown Prince Qin are the ones who belong together, and you're mistaken. I don't like you." "That's impossible. You're lying." She shook her head in disbelief. The way someone looks at the person they love can't be hidden. Liu Xiao Xiao was panicking. If I didn't want her, she would have to marry Shu Gongzi, that shameless man who spent his days in brothels, gambling, and fighting over gamecocks. I might not have been as good as her beloved Crown Prince Qin, but compared to Shu Gongzi, I was obviously the better choice. Besides, her father had told her that the Emperor valued me greatly and that I would become an important minister someday. In her eyes, a man like me was barely worthy of her. "Miss Liu, as the daughter of a respected family, you should show a little restraint," I said coldly. "If I truly liked you, why didn't I save you when you fell into the water?" "How could you not like me?" she snapped. "I'm clearly so outstanding." People who are loved always act as though they have nothing to fear. Yes, Liu Xiao Xiao was beautiful and talented, but I was not worthless either. "Miss Liu, please leave." I raised my hand in a gesture to see her out. Liu Xiao Xiao had always been proud. For her to lower herself and come to my door, she probably believed she was giving me the greatest favor of my life. "Jao Wenuan, you'll regret rejecting me today." She climbed back into her carriage with her maid, furious and humiliated. "My lord," Xiao Si asked, after watching the Liu family carriage disappear around the corner, "why doesn't Miss Liu ask Crown Prince Qin to marry her? Aren't they supposed to be in love?" I let out a helpless sigh. From the way Crown Prince Qin had stood by and watched Liu Xiao Xiao drown that day, I could already tell he never truly wanted to marry her. He only enjoyed being adored by the beloved daughter of the general's estate. The general's estate had earned too much military glory, and because the late emperor had issued a decree stating that the Liu family's army of 100,000 soldiers could not be taken away unless they voluntarily surrendered command, the current emperor had been looking for a way to take back General Liu's military power. The emperor had hinted at it many times, but General Liu pretended not to understand. The general's estate looked powerful on the surface, but it had already become a thorn in the emperor's side. Even if Crown Prince Qin truly liked Liu Xiao Xiao, the Marquis of Yongning and his wife would never agree to the marriage. The next day, I went to a bookstore to buy ink, paper, and writing brushes, but before I could enter, I saw a crowd gathered outside. "Brother Qin, Shu Gongzi is dead," Liu Xiao Xiao cried. "Now no one can use that so-called life-saving favor to force me into marriage anymore. Can you marry me now?" "Miss Liu, there was never any formal proposal or engagement between us," Crown Prince Qin replied. "Please watch your words. Don't ruin my reputation." "Brother Qin, you clearly like me. Why are you saying this? Did your mother force you to cut ties with me?" "Enough!" Crown Prince Qin shouted. "Do not insult my mother. You and Shu Gongzi had already exchanged keepsakes. That means the two families had an agreement. Now that he's dead, you should mourn him and become a loyal, virtuous widow." The crowd quickly joined in. Crown Prince Qin is right. If Shu Gongzi hadn't bravely saved Miss Liu that day, she would have drowned. A person can't be ungrateful. But isn't it strange? Shu Gongzi was a decent swimmer. How did he suddenly drown in a lake? Could it be that the general's estate had him killed? The moment someone said that, everyone instinctively moved farther away from Liu Xiao Xiao. For 18 years, Liu Xiao Xiao had lived a smooth and privileged life. She had never been humiliated like this before. Her eyes turned red as she glared at Crown Prince Qin. "Qinjun, you'll regret rejecting me today." Then she pushed through the crowd and left. I quickly stepped aside with Anju so that I wouldn't run into her. After returning home, I locked myself inside my study. Shu Gongzi's death probably wasn't an accident. Once he died, Liu Xiao Xiao would no longer have to marry into the Shu family. That meant General Liu had most likely ordered someone to kill him. Shu Gongzi might have been a scoundrel, but he was also the only son in his family. Minister Shu would never let this go so easily. The next morning, during court, Minister Shu removed the official hat that represented his rank as a third-rank minister. He slammed his forehead against the floor until blood appeared. "Your Majesty," he cried, "my son died unjustly. He was murdered. I beg your Majesty to give him justice." "Who do you believe did it?" the Emperor asked. The Emperor didn't truly care whether Minister Shu's useless son was alive or dead. He only wanted to use this death to strike at the general's estate and take back its military power. "Your Majesty, not long ago, my son saved the general's daughter from drowning. Miss Liu didn't want to marry him, and that would have been fine. But why did they have to kill him? These are the pieces of evidence I have gathered. I beg your Majesty to examine them." The Emperor's sharp and imposing gaze turned toward General Liu. "General Liu, what do you have to say for yourself?" General Liu quickly stepped forward. He handed his own evidence to Eunuch Su, who stood beside the Emperor. "Your Majesty, Minister Shu has been deceived. I have already investigated the matter. Shu Gongzi drank too much at a brothel, and while he was returning home, someone pushed him into the water. The killer was only an ordinary citizen." He paused before continuing. "The man's younger sister had once been dragged into an alley and violated by Shu Gongzi. He did this to avenge his sister." The Emperor looked through the evidence. Cold killing intent flashed in his eyes, but his voice remained calm. "Enough. Leave this matter to the Ministry of Justice. If there is nothing else, court is dismissed." Once the Emperor had spoken, Minister Shu could only swallow his rage. After court, Eunuch Su brought me to the imperial study. "This humble minister greets your Majesty." "Rise, Zhao Qing," the Emperor said. "I heard you like Miss Liu." "Your Majesty, that is only a rumor. I have met Miss Liu only a few times. There are no feelings between us." "You don't need to be nervous. I was only asking casually." The Emperor's expression became serious. "The province has suffered from flooding for years. Are you willing to share my burden and handle this matter?" "I am willing." "Good. If you do well, you will receive promotion and reward. I will remember your contribution. But if you fail—" The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Then I will gladly take that head on your shoulders." I bowed deeply, pressing my forehead against the cold floor. "Your Majesty, if I fail to control the floods, there will be no need for you to act. I am willing to die before the riverbanks as an apology to heaven, to the people, and to your Majesty." The Emperor looked at me with something almost like emotion in his eyes. "Zhao Qing, every generation has its own duty. I sit in this position with only one wish, that the people live in peace, and the realm remains bright and stable." He paused. "When facing such a great task, I need capable officials with courage and backbone. Are you willing to become my confidant and work with me to build something that will last for generations?" This minister swears loyalty to your Majesty until death. When I walked out of the imperial study, my heart still hadn't calmed down. In this life, I could finally follow a wise ruler and build the future I had always wanted. 3 days later, I was scheduled to leave for Z province. My mother and I were preparing the things I would need for the journey when a servant rushed in. "My lord, Miss Liu requests an audience." "My son," Mother said worriedly, "didn't you already make things clear to her? Why is she still bothering you?" "Don't worry, Mother. I'll deal with it." I brought Anju to the front gate. Liu Xiao Xiao had already grown impatient from waiting. "Lord Zhao, leaving a visitor outside your gate like this, is that how you treat guests?" "Miss Liu, you have repeatedly come here to bother me. You're causing me a great deal of trouble." "Jao Wenuan, you're just a top scholar from a poor family. I'm the respected daughter of the general's estate. The fact that I'm willing to come to your door is a blessing your Zhao family should be grateful for." She looked at me arrogantly. "And you should know exactly what happens when you anger me." Her threat only made me more certain of my suspicions. Shu Gongzi's death definitely had something to do with the general's estate. Enough. I came today to give you an invitation, she said. Tomorrow is my wedding. I invite you to come to the Marquis's estate and watch the ceremony. She didn't even glance at me. With a cold expression, she shoved the invitation into my chest and left with her maid before I could react. My lord, Anju said, did Crown Prince Qin agree to marry Miss Liu after all? We'll know tomorrow, I replied, but Crown Prince Qin would never risk making the emperor suspicious just for Liu Xiao Xiao. There must be something else going on. The Marquis's estate held a massive wedding ceremony. People gathered outside the estate early in the morning, all waiting to catch a glimpse of the bride. In order to restore her dignity, Liu Xiao Xiao had prepared a dowry procession that stretched for 10 entire miles. Look, the bride is here. Wait, why are there 2 bridal sedans? In the Great Yu dynasty, a man can only take 1 legal wife. Is Crown Prince Qin bringing both a wife and a concubine into his home on the same day? One is the daughter of the general's estate, and the other is the daughter of the Minister of Revenue's estate. So which one is the wife, and which one is the concubine? Isn't that obvious? Gu Qian is only a concubine-born daughter. How could she compare to Miss Liu, the legitimate daughter of the general's estate? Miss Liu must be the legal wife. Not necessarily. Gu Qian may be concubine-born, but Minister Gu favors her greatly. Her mother's family is also the richest merchant family in the entire realm. She has every right to become the legal wife. Inside her bridal sedan, Liu Xiao Xiao's face turned green with anger as she listened to the crowd. She could accept Crown Prince Qin taking a concubine, but choosing to bring that woman into the estate on the same day as her wedding? That was a direct slap in her face. Concubine Liu, an elderly servant said, allow this old servant to help you enter through the side gate. What did you say? Liu Xiao Xiao snapped. I am the mistress of the Qin family. Open the main gate immediately and welcome me inside. Concubine Liu, don't you understand? You already had physical contact with Shu Gongzi, and your reputation has been ruined. Even this position as a concubine was something the crown prince had to beg for on your behalf. The servant's voice was merciless. As for the position of legal wife, you should stop dreaming about it. Liu Xiao Xiao finally realized that something was terribly wrong. She grabbed the servant's wrist tightly. You mean the concubine-born daughter of the minister's estate is Brother Qin's legal wife? That's impossible. Brother Qin would never do this to me. She ripped off her red veil and rushed toward Crown Prince Qin, who stood at the entrance in his wedding robes. Qin Jun, you dare turn me into a joke for the entire capital? I'll fight you. Liu Xiao Xiao had grown up in a military family, and she attacked with surprising force. Crown Prince Qin was caught off guard and could barely defend himself. By the time the servants pulled her away, several scratches had already appeared across his face. You crazy woman, I'm going to divorce you. Crown Prince Qin clutched his injured face and pointed at her furiously. Qin Jun, my father is the great general who has won countless battles. How dare you humiliate me like this? He will never let you and the Marquis's estate get away with it. She glared at him with hatred. And don't forget, my father has evidence against your estate. Even now, Liu Xiao Xiao still didn't understand. The reason Crown Prince Qin dared to treat her this way was precisely because he wanted to prove his loyalty to the emperor. The general's estate might have power and prestige, but it was still only a subject of the throne. Ignoring the blood on his face, Crown Prince Qin stepped forward and slapped Liu Xiao Xiao several times. You shameless woman, you dare threaten me. He turned toward the servants. Take concubine Liu away and bind her. Qin Jun, how dare you? My father will never forgive you. You're mistaken, he said coldly. As the saying goes, once a woman marries, she follows her husband. Besides, I have already reported to His Majesty that I am taking you as a concubine. Even General Liu, with military power in his hands, cannot interfere with his son-in-law's household affairs. Only then did Liu Xiao Xiao finally become afraid. She looked past the crowd and saw me standing there. Her mouth had been stuffed with a filthy cloth, and all she could make were helpless, muffled cries. But there was no pity left in my eyes. I turned around and disappeared into the sea of people. Half a month later, my mother and I arrived in Provence. Based on ancient records and my own inspection of the land, I quickly created a plan to control the flooding. I improved on the water control methods left behind by our ancestors. In only 2 months, I completely solved the flood problem in Province. During the project, I was attacked and injured several times. Fortunately, the Emperor had sent members of the Dragon Guard to protect me. On the day I returned to the capital to report my success, the people lined both sides of the streets to welcome me back. Even the daughters of noble families competed to give me hand-embroidered, handkerchiefs. But in this life, I had no intention of getting married. I politely refused every one of them. The emperor was extremely pleased with my ability. He promoted me beyond the usual rules and made me a third-rank vice minister. At the banquet celebrating my achievement, I saw Liu Xiao Xiao again. She didn't seem to be living well. Even beneath her thick makeup, she couldn't hide the exhaustion on her face. In less than 3 months, the proud and arrogant daughter of the general's estate had become someone who had to live by reading other people's expressions. She was miserable now, but I felt no sympathy for her. This was the road she had chosen for herself. "Zhao Qing," the emperor suddenly said, "you're not getting any younger. It's time for you to settle down. Since today is such a happy occasion, how about I arrange a marriage between you and Princess Anle?" Princess Anle was the emperor's most beloved daughter. She had been given a title and her own land from the moment she was born. But in my previous life, she had been sent far away to marry into the northern frontier. Less than 3 months later, the cruel king of the north tortured her to death. She had been a princess born into luxury. She never should have been forced to marry into a foreign land. But after General Liu led the great Yu army to defeat against the northern tribes, the dynasty was shaken. The people were terrified, and the realm was on the verge of collapse. Princess Anle gave up her wealth, honor, and freedom to buy the empire a little more time. In this life, I had planned to remain unmarried forever. But if the person was Princess Anle, then I was willing. "Thank you for your majesty's grace," I said as I bowed. "This minister will never fail the princess." "Rise," the emperor said. "I have already asked the imperial astronomer to choose an auspicious date. Your wedding will take place on the 8th day of next month. This minister accepts your majesty's decree." I returned to my seat as my fellow officials began congratulating me. "Lord Zhao, you reached the 3rd rank at such a young age, and now you'll become Princess Anle's husband. Your future is limitless. Lord Zhao is truly young and accomplished. Let me offer you a toast." "You flatter me," I said. "I only have His Majesty's favor." "Lord Zhao, there's no need to be so humble. Come on, have a drink." After the banquet, I climbed into my carriage to return home. I had drunk a little too much, so I leaned against the wall of the carriage and closed my eyes to rest. Then the carriage suddenly stopped. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" my driver shouted. "Blocking a carriage in the middle of the street is dangerous." A cold and familiar voice answered from outside. "You're not qualified to speak to me." The person blocking my carriage was Liu Xiao Xiao. She really was impossible to get rid of. "Liu Xiao Xiao, we have nothing left to say to each other. Move out of the way." "No, Zhao Lang, stop pretending. You love me. I've regained the memories of my previous life." Her words made me realize that she had been reborn too. But so what? Even if the rivers flowed backward and snow fell in the middle of summer, I would never feel even the slightest affection for her again. "Liu Xiao Xiao, the Jao Wenuan from your previous life is dead. In this life, I will never love you. Zhao Lang, I admit I treated you badly in our past life. Qin Jun is a monster. He humiliated me. He beat me. I had to drug his wine just to get away from him and see you." Tears streamed down her face as she grabbed at my carriage. "Zhao Lang, I really know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. I swear I'll never see him again. I'll never betray your love again." "Liu Xiao Xiao, not every apology deserves forgiveness. There is absolutely no future between us in this life." "No," she screamed. "Jao Wenuan, you're mine. Princess Anle was only born into a better family than me. How could she possibly be better than I am? I won't let you marry her." "Princess Anle carries this nation and its people in her heart," I said coldly. "To me, you can't even compare to a single strand of her hair." Then I gave my servant a look. "I already sent word to Crown Prince Qin. He should be here any moment now." "You're cruel." Liu Xiao Xiao's face went pale. "Qin Jun will beat me to death." General Liu might have been willing to take a risk and kill Xu Gongzi for his daughter, but Qin Jun was the only heir of the Marquis of Yongning's estate. He wouldn't dare move against him so easily. Besides, this marriage had been arranged through the general's estate's own schemes. If General Liu harmed Qin Jun, the Qin family would fight him to the death. A disgraced daughter simply wasn't worth that price. I knew Liu Xiao Xiao's situation was miserable, but what did it have to do with me? After all, this was the perfect marriage she had spent her whole life dreaming of. No matter how Qin Jun treated her, it was the fate she had chosen for herself. As my carriage pulled away, I could still hear her screaming behind me, "Zhao Wenuan, you heartless traitor! Just wait! I'll never let you marry the princess." One day, after leaving the imperial study, I happened to meet Princess Anle. She had come with her maid to deliver nourishing soup to the emperor. "This minister greets your highness." "Lord Zhao, there's no need to be so formal." Her cheeks turned red as she quickly shoved something into my arms with trembling fingers. "This is a pouch I embroidered myself. I hope you like it." I gently ran my fingers over the delicate lotus pattern embroidered onto the pouch. Without realizing it, I smiled. In my previous life, every cruel word telling me I was unworthy had felt heavy enough to bend my straight back. But in this life, someone finally loved me with all her heart. I began imagining the happy life Princess Anle and I would have after our wedding. Every day I felt full of energy, as though I had endless strength. But just as our wedding day was drawing near, an urgent report arrived from the northern frontier. The northern tribes had invaded. The court immediately split into two sides. One side wanted peace, while the other demanded war. "Your Majesty," one official said, "Princess Anle has enjoyed the people's support her entire life. It's time for her to contribute to the country. The Great Yu army has fought for years and has already been badly weakened. We can't keep fighting. If the princess can buy us 1 year of peace, I guarantee we can defeat the northern tribes." Another official stepped forward furiously. "The men of Great Yu would rather die on the battlefield than use a princess to buy even a moment of cowardly peace." General Liu frowned. "The northern invaders are fierce, and they've crushed the spirit of Great Yu. Minister Gu makes it sound easy, but he isn't the one who has to risk his life on the battlefield. I am a general of Great Yu. I cannot watch my soldiers march to their deaths for nothing." The emperor listened to both sides argue without making a decision. At last, his gaze fell on me. "Zhao Qing, what do you think? Should we fight or make peace?" "Your Majesty, this minister is willing to lead an army against the northern frontier." The entire court fell silent. "I want to protect Great Yu's land and its people," I continued, "and I want to protect the woman whose eyes and heart are filled with me." "Good," the emperor said. "I'll give you 100,000 elite troops. Help me crush the northern frontier in one decisive campaign." Then he looked toward Minister Gu. "Minister Gu, you will handle the supply of food and military provisions. There must not be any corruption or shortages." "Yes, Your Majesty. This minister will not fail your trust." Minister Gu and I accepted the order together. "Your Majesty, please reconsider," General Liu suddenly cried. "Even if Lord Zhao has read some books on warfare, he only understands battle in theory. I've fought for years and still couldn't conquer the northern frontier. He's a scholar. Sending him there would be sending him to his death." The emperor rose from the dragon throne and slowly descended the steps. "General Liu, the Liu family has protected Great Yu for generations. Your ancestors gave their lives for this country. That is why the late emperor decreed that no one could forcibly take the Liu family's military power." His expression grew cold. "But under your command, you have brought shame upon your ancestors. Tell me, General Liu, is the northern frontier truly impossible to conquer, or have you deliberately held back just to prove your own importance?" Even a general who had fought through mountains of corpses and rivers of blood began to sweat under the emperor's pressure. The emperor placed a hand lightly on General Liu's shoulder. "General Liu, the backbone of great, you cannot bend." "Your Majesty, this minister was wrong." General Liu quickly lowered his head. "This minister will lead the army out at once." "I have already named the commander," the emperor replied. "My imperial word cannot be changed so casually." Then he looked General Liu directly in the eye. "But I'll make a wager with you. If Zhao Qing wins this campaign, you will voluntarily surrender your military authority." General Liu's heart sank. He finally understood. The emperor intended to use this opportunity to take away the Liu family's army. "Your Majesty, this—" "General Liu, I'm not finished." The emperor's voice remained calm. "If Zhao Qing fails to take the northern frontier, the 100,000 soldiers under his command will be placed under the Liu family forever." "Your Majesty, this minister is terrified. This minister has never harbored disloyal intentions." The emperor turned and walked back toward the throne. "Court is dismissed. Zhao Qing, stay behind." Inside the imperial study, the emperor placed a sword in my hands. "With this sword, it will be as though I am personally present. Anyone who disobeys your command may be executed first, with the report made afterward." Then he stared at me solemnly. "Zhao Qing, you cannot let me lose this wager. Your Majesty, rest assured, this minister will not disgrace your trust." "Good. I believe in you. Anle has been waiting for you. Go say goodbye to her." "Yes, Your Majesty." In the imperial garden, Princess Anle looked as though she had been crying. Her eyes were red, and seeing her like that made me want to pull her into my arms and comfort her. "Lord Zhao," she asked softly, "did you volunteer to go to war because of me?" "Your Highness, please don't burden yourself with that thought. Protecting the country and its people is a minister's duty. Lord Zhao, I'll wait for you to return and marry me. If you don't come back, Then I'll wait for you for the rest of my life." The love in her eyes made it impossible for me to refuse her. "All right, I promise you. Lord Zhao, don't worry about anything at home. I'll bring your mother to the palace and take care of her." "Thank you, Your Highness." "Jao Wenuan," she said quietly. "Can you call me by my name?" "What is it?" "My name is Li Ya." "Thank you, Li Ya. I won't make you wait long." In the end, I couldn't hold myself back any longer. I stepped forward and pulled the woman I loved into my arms. The next morning, I changed into military armor and arrived at the western camp outside the capital. The soldiers looked at me with undisguised contempt. "Lord Zhao, scholars like you aren't much stronger than young ladies sitting indoors and doing embroidery. You should stop pretending before you get yourself killed." "Exactly. Only someone like General Liu is a true hero who can protect this country." "If you all look down on me so much," I said, "then come down here and challenge me. If I lose, you can deal with me however you want." The soldiers exchanged looks. Finally, they pushed out a powerfully built vice-general to fight me. "Lord Zhao, I'm a rough man," he said. "If I accidentally hurt you, I hope you'll forgive me." He lifted a huge blade that weighed dozens of pounds and swung it straight down at my head. I didn't try to block it. I simply dodged. The soldiers burst into laughter. "What a waste of time. Lord Zhao is pretty good at dodging. I bet he's even better at running away." Is he trying to wear down Vice General Zhang's strength? That's way too naive. Vice General Zhang has endless strength. He could fight for another hour without any problem. Before they could say anything worse, the tip of my Red Eagle spear was already pressed against Vice General Zhang's throat. With one small movement, this powerful man would be on his way to meet the King of Hell. Clang! His heavy blade crashed to the ground. The entire camp fell silent. Then whispers rose from the crowd. Isn't Lord Zhao supposed to be a helpless scholar? How is he this skilled? Is this what they mean by using a pen to bring peace to the realm and using a sword to conquer the world? This is nothing like what General Liu told us. With a commander like him, maybe we really can defeat the northern frontier. Soldiers had always respected strength above all else. After witnessing my skills, there wasn't a trace of disdain left in their eyes. There was only respect. Is there anyone else who refuses to accept me? I asked. General Zhao, the soldiers shouted in unison, we are willing to follow your command without any hesitation. Good. Sound the drums. We march. I led 100,000 elite soldiers out through the city gates. Something in my heart stirred, and I turned back. On top of the city wall stood Li Ya. The worry and tenderness in her eyes felt like a soft net, wrapping around my entire heart. I raised my hand and waved at her with all my strength. Ya, wait for me. When I return victorious, I'll come back and marry you. The northern frontier's terrain was far more complex than I had expected. There was an old saying, the first charge carries the greatest strength, the second loses momentum, and by the third, all spirit is gone. Our first battle against the northern tribes had to end in victory. The northern soldiers excelled at cavalry and archery. If we wanted to win, we had to find a way to break their cavalry formation. I arranged for a unit of infantry carrying shields and horse-cutting blades to stand ready. First, I ordered our troops to attack from a distance with bows and crossbows. Then I sent the infantry forward, ordering them to strike at the horses' legs. Once the enemy riders were thrown into chaos and their cavalry collapsed, I led our own cavalry forward to finish the fight. With my careful planning and the soldiers' perfect coordination, our first battle ended exactly as I had expected. We won. Not only did we win, but we crushed the enemy's confidence. After our duel, Vice General Zhang had completely accepted me. He now treated me as someone worth following. General Zhao, you're not just skilled in combat, you're incredible at commanding an army too. At this rate, we'll definitely reclaim the northern frontier. Everyone says General Liu is a god of war, someone added. Don't get arrogant, I told them. We need to keep pushing forward. Yes, General Zhao, we'll follow every order you give. I pointed to the map I had revised after personally examining the terrain and began laying out our next battle plan. Back in the capital, the war had done nothing to lessen the city's prosperity. Princess Anle read one victory report after another from the northern frontier. She wished she could fly to my side and see how I was doing. She wondered when I would finally return to the capital, but then a cold voice shattered her hopes. You won't live to see Jao Wenuan return and marry you, because he's already dead. Liu Xiao Xiao had forced her way into the palace with soldiers from the Liu family army. Liu Xiao Xiao, stop speaking nonsense, Princess Anle said, forcing herself to remain calm. Brother Wenuan promised me he wouldn't die. He said in his letters that he would be back soon. Then she looked at the armed men around her. Liu Xiao Xiao, you brought weapons into the palace. Are you trying to rebel? Liu Xiao Xiao clapped her hands arrogantly. Smart girl, Half of Great Yu was won by my Liu family ancestors. Your Li family has occupied the throne long enough. It's time for the Liu family to take it. Where is my father? Princess Anle demanded. That old man? Liu Xiao Xiao made a slicing gesture across her throat. My father already killed him. Liu Xiao Xiao, you're celebrating too early. The moment she heard that voice, all the color drained from her face. Li Ya saw a man in shining silver armor standing at the entrance. She lifted her skirts and ran toward me. I opened my arms and held her tightly. Ya, don't be afraid. I'm back. Neither you nor His Majesty will come to harm. Liu Xiao Xiao stared at me as if she had gone mad. She clawed at her hair and screamed, Zhao Wenuan, you killed my father and the Marquis of Yongning. My Liu family helped found this dynasty. How could you do this? You're wrong, I said coldly. They were traitors. They deserved to die. How did this happen? She muttered in disbelief. Everything was planned perfectly. Were the soldiers guarding the city useless? Why didn't they stop you? General Liu had reached some kind of agreement with the northern tribes. When their invasion began earlier than expected, I became even more certain. Liu Xiao Xiao wanted to stop me from marrying the princess, so she had asked her father to send a letter urging the northern tribes to attack. But they never expected me to volunteer to lead the campaign against them. Then, one victory report after another came from the battlefield, and they panicked. If I conquered the northern frontier, General Liu would have to hand over his military authority under the emperor's wager, and the Liu family's secret alliance with the northern tribes would be exposed. With nowhere left to turn, General Liu threatened the Marquis of Yongning's estate into rebelling alongside him. The emperor and I had predicted this outcome long ago, so we played along. The moment they launched their rebellion, we captured every last one of them. When everything finally settled, members of both the Liu family and the Qin family were thrown into prison. Inside the dark, damp dungeon, Liu Xiao Xiao and Qin Jun were blaming each other. Qin Jun, you useless man. I never should have been stupid enough to love you and give up Jao Wenuan. Marrying you was the worst luck of my life, Qin Jun shouted back. My Marquis's estate could have enjoyed wealth and glory for generations. It was all ruined because of you and your father. Their argument became more vicious by the second until they started fighting. How dare you make such a scene in front of the chief minister? The jailer's voice scared them so badly that they both dropped to their knees and began begging. Chief Minister, please show mercy. Spare our worthless lives. Chief Minister, please show mercy. Spare our worthless lives. The hem of my dark red official robe swept across the fresh snow. Every step I took felt like it landed directly on their hearts. Qin Jun, Liu Xiao Xiao, you will both be executed at noon tomorrow. Liu Xiao Xiao recognized my voice and suddenly looked up. Jao Wenuan, you became the chief minister? Hope appeared in her eyes. That's wonderful. If you beg His Majesty for mercy, you can save me. Gu Qian was spared because her father and her mother's family paid to protect her. Please, for the sake of what we once had, save me just this once. Minister Gu had resigned and returned to his hometown. Gu Qian's maternal family had given up more than half their wealth just to barely save her life. I had earned enough merit that if I were willing to give up everything to save Liu Xiao Xiao, I might have been able to keep her alive. But the Jao Wenuan, who had once been willing to sacrifice everything for Liu Xiao Xiao, was already dead. The Jao Wenuan, standing before her, now belonged to Li Ya. Li Ya was the woman I needed to hold close and cherish for the rest of my life. Liu Xiao Xiao, I came today to tell you the truth. The day you fell into the water at the Marquis's estate wasn't an accident. Her eyes widened. It was Qin Jun who set it up. What? Liu Xiao Xiao turned toward Qin Jun, fury burning in her eyes. Liu Xiao Xiao, you really are stupid, Qin Jun said with a cruel smile. I only wanted to have some fun with you, but you took it seriously. To get rid of you, I had no choice but to ruin your reputation. Qin Jun, how dare you do this to me? I'll kill you. Liu Xiao Xiao lunged at him and began hitting him. The two of them tangled together in another violent fight. Before leaving the dungeon, I gave the jailer one final order. After Liu Xiao Xiao and Qin Jun are executed, bury their bodies together. In my previous life, Liu Xiao Xiao wanted to be buried with Qin Jun even in death, so in this life, I would grant her wish. I looked up at the clear blue sky, and my heart finally felt light. Brother Wenuan, Li Ya said with a smile, the imperial astronomer says 3 days from now is an auspicious day. Should we get married then? Ya, I'll do whatever you want. Brother Wenuan, father is waiting for us to have dinner with him. Let's go. All right.